Remember when music was something you could actually hold? When the weight of a new album in your hands felt like a promise, and the crackle of opening the plastic wrap was the start of a new adventure? You'd head to a store, flip through CDs, study the album art, and hope you picked a winner. The anticipation was real. Every trip to the record shop was a little journey, full of possibility and risk. Once you bought it, you were stuck with it, good or bad. There was no going back, no refunds for a dud album. If you gambled on a CD and only liked one song, tough luck. The rest of the tracks might never see the light of day. It was a real commitment. Every purchase was a leap of faith, and your collection grew one disc at a time. Then came the iPod, suddenly 1,000 songs in your pocket. It felt like magic, a revolution in your hand. But you still had to rip CDs or buy tracks on iTunes one by one. Building your library was a slow, deliberate process. You curated your own collection, building a personal library that reflected your taste, your mood, your memories. The radio was the other way to discover music, but you had no control. You were at the mercy of the DJ's choices. DJs decided what you heard, and you waited for your favorite song to come around. Sometimes, you'd sit for hours just to catch that one track. It was a shared but passive experience. The soundtrack of your life was chosen for you, not by you. You couldn't just play any song anytime. Instant gratification wasn't an option. Music was defined by what you owned or what you could catch on the airwaves. Your choices were limited, and discovery was slow. Exploring new artists was risky. What if you hated the album you just bought? Sometimes you'd take a chance and regret it. The whole system was built on ownership and scarcity. Music was precious, and every addition to your collection mattered. This was the world before streaming. Then, everything changed. Almost overnight, the rules were rewritten. Spotify didn't just offer a new product, it flipped the whole idea of music on its head. Suddenly, the old boundaries disappeared. Suddenly, you didn't need to own music. You just needed access. The concept of a personal collection was replaced by endless choice. The entire universe of songs was at your fingertips. Any track, any artist, any time, no limits, no waiting, no more risk. You could explore, skip, and discover without fear of wasting your money. The shift was seismic, from collecting music to streaming it. The way we related to music was transformed forever. The way we listened, discovered, and valued music would never be the same. Music became social, shareable, and always within reach. Spotify was about to turn the music world upside down. The old rules were gone, and a new era was beginning. And nothing would ever go back to the way it was. The age of streaming had arrived, and music would never be the same. In the early 2000s, piracy ruled the internet. Music fans everywhere were downloading songs for free, and the world of music was changing fast. Napster, LimeWire, Kazaa, these names became legendary. Suddenly every song you could imagine was just a click away, if you dared risk viruses, corrupted files, or even lawsuits from angry record labels. The music industry panicked. CD sales plummeted and executives scrambled for answers, but they couldn't stop the flood of free music. Enter Daniel Ek, a young Swedish tech entrepreneur. He looked at the chaos and saw not just a problem, but an opportunity for a new kind of solution. People wanted music instantly, but the industry was busy fighting pirates instead of offering something better. Downloads were slow, files were often mislabeled, and the experience was frustrating. Ek realized something crucial. You can't beat free with expensive, you have to beat it with better. Something so good, people would actually want to pay for it. So, in 2006, Ek teamed up with Martin Lorentzon. Together, they launched Spotify from Sweden, aiming to change how the world listened to music. The idea was radical. Make it feel like you had every song ever recorded, instantly, legally and safely. No more waiting, no more risk. No more sketchy downloads, mislabeled tracks, or worrying about computer viruses. Just type a song, and it plays, immediately. It was a revolution in convenience. The user experience had to be flawless, even faster and easier than piracy itself. That was the bar to clear. That was the mission. Make streaming so good, so seamless that people would choose it over stealing every single time. Spotify's genius wasn't just in the technology, it was in understanding what people really wanted from music: ease, access, and discovery. Most people didn't want to be pirates, they just wanted convenience, and a way to enjoy music without hassle. While the industry punished pirates, Ek focused on serving the customer, making music easy, fun, and accessible. give people a massive library, instant playback, and curated playlists, and they'd pay, or at least listen to ads. It was a win-win. This idea didn't just fight piracy, it changed the economics of music forever, helping the industry recover and grow. Spotify became the legal, easy answer the world was waiting for, a new way to experience music together. And in doing so, it would reshape everything about how we listen, share, and connect through music. How did Spotify win over millions of listeners and change the way we experience music forever? The answer lies in the freemium model. Anyone could join for free, instantly unlocking access to millions of songs, curated playlists, and the ability to share music with friends, all without paying a cent. But there was a catch. Free users had to deal with frequent ads, no offline listening, and shuffle-only playback on mobile devices, making the experience just inconvenient enough. These little annoyances nudged millions toward paying for premium, where music was ad-free, on-demand, and available offline. It was a masterclass in business psychology. Spotify made the free version just good enough to hook you, but not so good you'd never want to upgrade. Unlike iTunes, Spotify didn't sell albums or downloads. It sold unlimited access to a vast library of music, anytime, anywhere. The playlist quickly replaced the album as the main way people discovered and listened to music, letting users become their own DJs. Suddenly, music was about mixing your favorite tracks, sharing them with friends, and constantly updating your personal soundtrack, not buying full albums anymore. The money? Spotify pools all its revenue, pays about 70% to rights holders, and artists get paid based on their share of total streams, a radical shift from the old model. If your song is 1% of all streams, you get 1% of the pot. It's simple but also controversial. This system sparked heated debate. Some artists thrived in the new streaming world while others struggled to make ends meet. But the model was set. Streaming was now about access, not ownership, and there was no turning back. Spotify changed not just how we listen, but also how artists get paid and how music is made and shared. The playlist era had officially begun, shaping music culture for a new generation. The album faded into the background, the stream became king. The music industry would never be the same again, as technology and streaming reshaped everything. Spotify's model was addictive and nearly impossible to resist. The world was hooked, and there was no going back. As Spotify grew, artists started asking, is this fair? Spotify saved the industry from piracy, but individual payouts were tiny. Money flowed to labels first, then trickled down to artists, often just pennies per stream. Big names like Taylor Swift and Thom Yorke protested, pulling their music in frustration. They argued Spotify devalued music and underpaid creators. Spotify responded with more transparency and tools for artists. They claim streaming pays over time and helps artists find global fans, but the debate rages on. For superstars, streaming can be lucrative. For most, it's a struggle to make a living. The system works for some, but not for all. Spotify's relationship with artists remains complicated. The fight over fair pay is far from over. Spotify's other challenge? The major record labels. Universal, Sony, and Warner were skeptical at first, fearing streaming would kill their sales. To win them over, Spotify gave the labels equity, making them partners, not just suppliers. This move aligned interests, but gave labels huge power. Every few years, licensing deals are renegotiated in tense, high-stakes talks. Labels push for more revenue and control. Spotify fights to keep costs down. The relationship is codependent. Labels need Spotify's reach. Spotify needs their catalogs. Any big change, pricing, features needs label approval. This delicate balance shapes everything Spotify does. The company is always negotiating, always adapting. The labels are both gatekeepers and partners. It's a dance that never ends. By 2018, Spotify needed more profit. Music margins were thin. The answer? Podcasts. Spotify bought studios like Gimlet, Anchor, and The Ringer, aiming to own the podcast ecosystem. Then came exclusive deals. Joe Rogan, the Obamas, Kim Kardashian. The goal become the Netflix of audio, with must-have content you couldn't get elsewhere. Unlike music, podcasts meant fixed costs and higher profits per listener. Exclusive shows made Spotify stickier, harder to leave for Apple or Amazon. The podcast pivot was a bold gamble to escape music's tough economics. It was about control, profit, and building a unique advantage. Spotify bet big on podcasts to secure its future. The move changed the platform and the industry. Now Spotify was more than music, it was the home for audio. Just as Spotify settled in, new threats emerged. TikTok turned music discovery upside down. Viral clips made songs global hits overnight. It wasn't about full songs anymore, but catchy hooks for memes and dances. Spotify had to adapt, adding video clips and vertical feeds to keep up. YouTube, always a music giant, doubled down with YouTube Music, offering audio and video in one place. Why just listen when you can watch too? Then came AI algorithms now create songs on demand. What happens when anyone can generate a hit in seconds? Spotify faces a flood of AI music, making it harder for real artists to stand out. The platform must balance innovation with protecting creativity. The battle for music discovery is fiercer than ever. Spotify is racing to stay ahead. Spotify's biggest rivals? Apple and Amazon. Apple Music comes pre-installed on every iPhone, an enormous advantage. For Apple, music is just part of a bigger ecosystem, not a profit center. Amazon bundles music with Prime, using it to sell more products and keep customers loyal. Both giants can afford to treat music as a loss leader. Spotify, focused only on audio, has to fight for every subscriber. That's why podcasts matter. There's something Apple and Amazon can't easily copy. The competition is brutal. Spotify is the innovator, but also the underdog. Apple and Amazon have deep pockets and built-in audiences. Spotify must keep evolving to survive. The battle for your ears is relentless. Only the most creative will win. Spotify's future depends on staying one step ahead. In 2025, Spotify has changed everything. It rescued music from piracy, created a new way to listen, and made playlists the new radio. But the business is still risky. Profits are thin, and competition is fierce. Labels demand more money, tech giants can afford to lose billions, and new threats like TikTok and AI keep coming. Spotify's podcast bet has had mixed results. The fight over artist pay is louder than ever. The company must constantly innovate just to keep up. Yet Spotify's legacy is secure. It dragged music into the streaming age. It solved piracy with a better product, not lawsuits. It created the soundtrack for a generation. But can it turn cultural dominance into lasting profit? The story isn't over. The music plays on,